Welcome, Rhonda, and welcome to those of you who are joining us on the replays and who might be joining us a little later on. That was a song from my third album, Celestial Folk Music, entitled Egyptian Blues. And I wrote that song, oh my goodness, 30 years ago? No, maybe, yeah. It was the first song I wrote as an adult, and back then I had never even heard of Kemet. I just was really drawn to Egypt. So, all right. Well, anyway, welcome to tonight's episode of KemeTones Self-Care with the Blue Lotus Speaks. And this evening we're going to be honoring our ancestors as we heal ourselves, healing from the journey to the now. And well, we'll just go ahead and start. And if anytime you have any questions, I'll be checking back in with the control panel. You can just speak out. I don't have anyone muted. Or if you're on the phone, I think it's either *6 or *2. Or you could just leave your comments in the chat room. Okay. So first of all, I just want to introduce myself to anyone who is new to these healing sessions. My name is Tachia Ahmet El Ma'at, and the SE stands for Self-Educated. I have my own homeschool version of a PhD in many subjects. And I'm a musician, sound healer, gardener, mother, Kemetic priestess, and soon to be Uber driver. I'm going to ready to start driving for Uber. And what I like to share on these sessions are some of the tools that I've used in my own self-healing work, and also some of the techniques I use in the KemeTones practitioner protocol. But mostly these are just things that I've learned in my own healing journey over the past 30 years, coming back from lots of trauma that was just built up, and just within the past 5 years, I started healing from it, and now my life has really taken off. So first thing a healer does after they heal themselves is help others heal themselves. And this presentation is brought to you by KemeTones, Cosmic Sound Healing. KemeTones is a healing system that's based on acutonics. Acutonics uses tuning forks that are tuned to the planets and some asteroids and some stars. And each tuning fork is tuned to a different planet, and so each tuning fork corresponds to a different ancestral or cosmic force, such as the Neteru and the Orisha. KemeTones is similar to acupuncture, only we use the tuning forks instead of needles. And KemeTones is different from acutonics because acutonics is based on the Greek archetypes and other European systems. And KemeTones is based on Kemetic archetypes, the Neteru to be precise, and other indigenous or African archetypes such as the Orisha. So when you get a KemeTones treatment, you get a cosmic sound healing, because these ancestors are also cosmic forces, just like magnetism and gravity. And so when we align to the cosmic energies, we awaken these forces within ourselves, and we take on the characteristics and personalities, hopefully the divine characteristics and personalities of the cosmic forces that we are invoking. And last session, we learned a lot about healing with water and how the tones from our tuning forks and our voices go into the water in our bodies and our blood system and the meridian and energy flow, stuff like that. So check out the Dive into the Healing Powers of Water session for more information on that. And every KemeTones session begins with a horoscope. Horoscope is a 13-month Kemetic sidereal astrology system developed by myself. Sidereal astrology system deals with the actual motion of the sun and the planets through the constellations. There's 13 constellations along the ecliptic, not 12. That means there's 13 zodiac signs. Every indigenous calendar system that I'm familiar with actually has 13 months. The moon, we know, has 13 months, so there should be 13 months in a year. I forget his name, this reggae artist, but he had a song about Babylon makes us work 13 months, but we only get paid for 12. And I go into time and stuff like that in another one of the sessions. But anyway, 13-month Kemetic sidereal astrology system is based on the actual motion of the sun and the planets across the constellation. It includes the 13th constellation of Ophiuchus, who is associated with Imhotep. Horoscopes is different from other 13-month sidereal astrology systems because we go back to the Kemetic names for the stars and the planets. And so it's a Kemetic astrology reading. And you can download your free Horoscopes ebook at newday.tachia.com/horoscope-guide. Horoscope guide, excuse me. And there'll be a link coming up soon. Okay, so that's the introduction. So now we're going to transition over to the horoscopes reading for tonight, which, oops, I didn't do something strange. Give me a second here. What's happening? Here we go. Okay. Yeah, so this is from the website, tachia.com, or newday.tachia.com. And we're just going to go over the horoscope for today. So actually, today is the second day that the sun is in the sign of Scorpio. And at horoscopes, this is called IP. And this is the constellation dealing with desire and transcendence, transcending our lower nature. Really, it's about mastering our desires. And so today, you can't read that link at all. Today, we're here's the chart from astrology13.com website. And if someone is not able to hear me, I think the way that it works is you have to dial in on the phone and watch the slideshow on the screen. And I'm not really sure why that is the case, but I haven't gotten that worked out yet. But anyway, this is the astrology chart for today. Glasses. Yeah, here's my glasses. Okay. And so this is the sidereal astrology system I was telling you about. And over here on the right, where there's this little black arc, this is the symbol for Imhotep or Ophiuchus in the sidereal astrology system. So the first thing we notice is the sun and Mercury and Saturn are all in the sign of Scorpio. So at horoscopes, this would be Ra, Jehuti, and Refan are all in Ip. And then down here, Jupiter is still in Leo, sidereal Leo, and Mars and Venus are still in Virgo or Aspolia. And Shasheta, the moon, is in Aries tonight, and she's almost full, and when she is perfectly full, she will be in the sign of Apis or Taurus. That's pretty sure it's tomorrow. Maybe it's or early morning. I didn't get to look up the exact time of the full moon yet, but it's transitioning from Aries into Taurus. And here, the link for the ebook is, like I said, newday.tachia.com/horoscope-guide. Horoscope e-guide, but it's horoscope guide. And I'll just go ahead and click on that for you now. Not in another window tab. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to a page where you can enter in your email. Well, it's slow. You enter in your email address, and then you can download it. So that way you can, follow along or maybe do your own horoscope analysis. So we're just going to go through this a little bit. So this is the ancient symbol for Scorpio, or Refan, and so you can see, where the Babylonians got it from. But it really does look like that in the sky. If you get a chance to look at the constellation, it looks like a T here, and then it's got the curly tail. And then at the tip of the tail, you can see this cloud here. That's the Milky Way galaxy. So the constellation of Scorpio, if you're looking at Scorpio, you are looking right into the center of the Milky Way galaxy. So you have Scorpio here and the Milky Way galaxy, and then right next to the Milky Way, you can't see it here, is Ophiuchus or Imhotep. And then on the other side is the sign of Sagittarius. But that's too much information. So right now we have Ra, the sun, and we have Jehuti, which is Mercury, and Saturn, or Ra is the sun, Jehuti is Mercury, and Rahsan is Scorpio. And they're all in the sign of, Rahsan is Saturn. I'm sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. They're all in the constellation of Scorpio. So I just have some of the iconography here for Ra. Here's a teaching from the Perd Meru about how we were all created by the tears of Ra when he realized that we would forget him. And I have a little song I wrote for the children's play. I guess I could just sing that little verse right now. I try to have some music. Here's in honor of Ra and the tears of Ra in Scorpio. Let me see if I can get my little camera open. I didn't have it open yet. Yes, I'll just mention that right now. This winter, we're going to be having our annual Winter Solstice and Goddess Festival in Atlanta. And it's December 31st to January 3rd. And the children are going to be performing the play that I wrote based on this song. So I'm just going to sing a little bit of this song. We are the children of Ra, children of creation. Ra is the source of life, and we are his children. Mesura, Mesu Kapara, Ra Ankara, Mesura, you are Ra, 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 you are Ra. Ra knew we would forget him, and this made him cry. We are all born from the tears of sadness. People all over the world were created by Ra team. When we remember Ra, he cried tears of gladness. We are children of Ra, children of creation. Ra is the source of life, and we are his children. Mesura, Mesu Kapara, Ra Ankara, Mesura, Duara Hotep. Yeah, so here is the image showing Ra crying us into creation. And here's the image of Ra with Ma'at. We just left the sign of Ma'at, the sign of Libra, and now we're in the sign of Scorpio. So here's some more images of Ra. Here's Ra with the image of Shesheta. Shesheta is associated with the moon, and she is the represents the personality and building, creating, engineering, architecture. So we're just dealing with all these cosmic forces. And then also it says that when we learn something new, it's Ra speaking to us through Jehuti and Shesheta. I have another verse about that song, so if there's time I'll sing it later. But right now, Ra is speaking to us through Jehuti, who's in Scorpio, and Shesheta in Aries, or Tamat Amun. So as I mentioned before, we have the three signs the 3 planets in the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio, Saturn is still retrograde until the beginning or middle of December. And another thing is that Scorpio only lasts for 7 days. So we're in a really amazing portal right now, with Scorpio having all this energy, and Saturn is retrograde, which means it's another type of portal opening. So, and then also we have HENRI and Set, or Venus and Mars are still in the sign of Virgo, or Aspholia, and I talked about them last time. They have to do with planting seeds of harmony and mastering our ego, and the beauty path, seeing the beauty and the gift in every adversity. But I've talked about them before. But right now I just want to talk about what's going on here in Scorpio. So the season that we're in is also known as the Days of the Dead. It's a time to honor the ancestors, to get closer to the ancestors. The veil between the living, the realm of the living and the realm of dead is open. The veil is lifted. So it's a very powerful time to connect with our ancestors, to connect with those on the other side. It's also a powerful week for healing family relations, past, present, and also planting seeds for relationships in the future. And we're going to be exploring some of the different tools and techniques for that in the second half of this program. Right now we're just talking about the astrology and what's going on in the stars. This is always a difficult week for me because my mother passed away on the 23rd, which was yesterday, and my father passed away on the 30th, which is in a week, and then we have these holidays going on in between. So we'll get to that later too. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so what does this mean for us astrologically? Well, I think that now is the time for us to master our desires and to use our creativity to manifest our desires through our sacred word, through poetry, music, prayers, rituals, things like that. It's a time to break through boundaries and limitations that no longer serve us, like breaking free from slavery or practices left over from slavery times. It's a time for establishing healthy boundaries for our protection, such as, what's going on with Black Lives Matter and all the police brutality. It's time for establishing protection for our personal belongings, for our personal space, breaking through obstacles. That's what Saturn is about, is breaking through obstacles, limitations, boundaries that restrict us or limit us. With the energy from, we move through Aspholia for planting seeds, and then we pass through the time of Ma'at for purifying and bringing our lives into balance and harmony and order and purification of our heart. So now we're in the time to purify our desires and make them manifest out of service to the divine, not the ego. In this culture, a lot of it is about satisfying our worldly desires. However, if we're in touch with Ma'at and with our higher selves, then our desires are in alignment with Ma'at. And so when we manifest our desires, we don't have to have fear about them because we're doing the work of the divine. We're serving the divine. So the full moon is coming up also, and so that will just really enhance and illuminate and make our prayers stronger and our energy work more powerful. Everything will just be heightened. And also that could be where people are getting together to honor slaughtering and brutality, and murder. Those type of energies will also be heightened. And so one of the things I would suggest for this time while this portal is opening is to do some more purifying work on ourselves, to open up our the flow of our energy, to heal our root chakras, to establish our flow of our abundance and prosperity, to claim our divine inheritance. and to use our resources wisely. As I was mentioned before, in the past, corporations like Bank of America and insurance corporations like CIG and Allstate, they built their fortunes from using our ancestors as collateral. So it wasn't so much that it was the cotton industry that was making all the money, but it was the exchange and transportation, of us. Well, actually, the transformation of us from divine beings into slaves. However, we were and still are the source of prosperity in this economic system. So by doing the healing work, we can make a shift in that and help bring about liberation for our people. So I would be suggesting that for things like Black Friday and all the holiday shopping that it's coming up now, it would be a great idea to, fast from all that activity. Like this image says, Martha said it's Thanksgiving, which means we got to cook some ham and turkey for when they killed them Indians. And I would say for when they killed us Indians, when they killed indigenous people, period, indigenous to the continent of Africa or here, Turtle Island, their fortunes were made by slaughtering indigenous people worldwide, black, red, brown, yellow, and even their own, even the indigenous people to the north, were all involved in the corrupt actions of the people that are still going on today. So putting limits and boundaries on our spending habits and our cultural practices, and stop trying to be like the people that have oppressed us. So my suggestion for the action to take this week while Scorpio, the portal to Scorpio is open, is to not buy, to control our desires, to master our desires, and put our resources elsewhere. And I think that would bring about a lot of healing, because we'd be honoring our ancestors and taking actions to bring about our mental and financial freedom. So that's my commentary on what's going on in the stars for this week with Ra, Refan, and Jehuti in Ip, or the Sun, Mercury, and Saturn in Sidereal Scorpio. So are there any questions or comments after that first section of tonight's program? Okay. Well, again, if you have any questions, just type them here in the chat room. And I'm so glad that you all are here. And I will be posting the replays and the links to this astrology reading and all that at the KemeTones study group page. Okay. Alrighty then. I will transition back to the other section of the program. So we're going to start off by honoring some of our ancestors. And I already mentioned my mom and dad. Here's a picture of them. My mom passed away on November 23rd in 2010, Jane Ann Johnson Hambrick. And my dad, Edward Milton Hambrick I, passed away on November 30th, 2001. So as I mentioned before, this week is usually really hard on me. And in the past, I would get really depressed, really down. And, I get really sad because we didn't raise my children, my ex-husband and I, we didn't raise our children on these holidays. We didn't do Thanksgiving. We didn't go to see their grandparents on Thanksgiving, all that. And now that my children are gone and I'm here by myself, I get really sad and lonely. My parents are gone. My children aren't dead. They just don't live here anymore. Let me be clear about that. But it would just get really intense. And today's the second day of this week, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not sad. I was so busy yesterday, I didn't have time to be sad about my mother's passing, but I feel like I'm honoring her with all the work that I'm doing to maintain the legacy that she handed over to me. So I'm just really thankful for my mom and my dad. And then I have a picture here of, this is a picture of my mother's great-grandfather and his brothers, Walter Evans Gray. And I'll have to be honest with you, I'm not really sure which one is my great-great-great-grandfather, if it's this one here, where I have the arrow to the right of the middle, or the one to the left. They almost look identical. But one of them was my great-great-grandfather or great-great-great-grandfather. And legend has it that he was a freed African who was over here to fight in the Civil War, and he saw my great-great-grandmother or great-great-great-grandmother being auctioned off, being sold in Tennessee, and he bought her and freed her and married her. And she was Cherokee. We know that she was full-blood Cherokee. Just a fascinating story. And then here is a collage I have of some of my favorite female ancestors, heroines, legends. And right now I'm just going to talk about this one here with this beautiful hat with the feathers. This is a photograph of my great-grandmother, Annabelle Spurlock Gray. And she is descended from a full-blood Cherokee. Her mother was Hannah Ross. And legend has it that she was the scribe for her slave owner. I'm not sure if her mother was the one that was being sold and bought, but I have a whole suitcase full of these really old photographs. However, Annabelle was really amazing. She was a piano teacher, and she had a gig on a ferry boat. She played the piano, the cello, and the harp on a ferry boat in the Mississippi River. And so I just feel really connected to her. I found out about her after I had started performing music on my own. And so I often wonder what their lives were like during this week, especially during this opening. This portal opening starts on Halloween, October 31st, and it stays open until February 5th, from the middle of fall to the middle of winter. And so during this time, I usually, just make a lot of efforts to connect with their energy. And then we have some other ancestors to remember during these days. We remember the days of slavery and, the things that happened to our ancestors, especially our mothers and our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers, is all stored in us. Their experiences are stored in our womb, in our DNA, in our genetic code, everything. And so since these things were never really healed in the past, we're still living with the trauma today. And you can see how it's played out in our society and in our nation today, and all the things that are going on to change the way we live and our food supply. And I even am writing a song about the strange fruit that Billie Holiday spoke of. Now it's producing seedless fruit. And I'll go into that more later. But all that trauma is still in our bodies. And so we are the generation that is learning how to heal that trauma, how to remove that energy or transform that energy from our bodies and our lives. And while we're doing so, we're also healing the journeys of our ancestors. Some of them might be trapped here because of all the things that happened to them. And so it's important for us to do this healing work on ourselves and our families, our nation. It's important for us to become healers, to become sound healers, and be able to do this work, worldwide. So here's some of the ways we can address healing from post-slavery stress disorder or post-traumatic slave syndrome. And I've talked about this before, instead of looking at the symptoms, looking at what caused the symptoms, treating this as an intergenerational issue that has been passed down through the centuries, and cover applications of acutonics and KemeTones to these symptoms and the causes. And then also, noting that the trauma is stored in our root chakra, which is where our money flow, our abundance, our security, our stability, our financial freedom is also stored there. So if you think about all the trauma that is stored in the root chakras of our ancestors, that trauma got passed down, so our root chakras are blocked for at least 500 years worth of trauma. And that could explain why the economic system, the economic situation of our nation, of the black nation, whatever name you want to give it, it's still a black nation, why it is so messed up. It's blocked from all the trauma. You know, like we talked about last week, all that trauma is stored in the water in our bodies. It's in our wombs. It's there. That energy is there. It's stuck. And then also we have the Trail of Tears experience. You know, most of the people living in North America have some Native American in us, indigenous. My blood is Cherokee. Three of my grandparents had Cherokee mothers, and the fourth one had a Blackfoot Indian mother. So even though my roots I can trace my roots all the way to Africa, you know, I have, my grandfathers were either black or mixed, African or mixed, but their mothers were all Native. So I'm what you would call mixed, black, Native, Moor, indigenous, Kemet, you know, lots of names. Anyway, this forced relocation known as the Trail of Tears is also part of our code, our DNA, our makeup. It's in our blood, it's in our womb. And again, this energy, this experience is stored in our energy fields, just like the whole slavery situation. So looking at what caused the individual symptoms like high blood pressure, diabetes, suicide, drug addiction, alcohol, depression, poverty, all of these symptoms, you know, we were both once very wealthy nations, and, you know, our quote-unquote downfall is due to these experiences. So if we can heal these experiences in ourselves, like in our families, our nation, we can heal the planet. So that's the idea behind tonight's episode. And keep in mind the reading, the Horoscope's reading about our desires, manifesting our pure desires, establishing healthy boundaries, breaking through limitations and obstacles, using our creativity. You know, now is the time. All right, so we're going to start off with learning about libations. Last week, let me see if there's any questions before I go to the next section. Any questions? Hello? No? Okay. Okay. I thought I heard some questions. Okay. So last week we learned about ways to charge the water with our intention. We learned some water blessings. We learned different activities to make the water wetter, some chants, things like that. We learned about how the water is affected by sound and intention. Okay, so I've posted the replay at the KemeTones REKH study group, and I'm also going to start posting the slide share for people who don't want to watch the whole webinar presentation. So tonight we're going to, I'm going to share with you two of my favorite libations for ancestor work. The first one, I couldn't find my handy-dandy, neatly typed out version, so I quickly scanned this from my Raseiki Level 1 Kemetic Reiki Handbook. And I have some water here, so I'm going to go ahead and recite and offer the libation while I'm here. Okay, so so this is what I do when I'm doing ancestral work. I didn't get to post the link on this webinar, but I will at the page. I like to do some of the work you can find at the earthcenter.com, which is from the culture from the Dogon in Mali, and they follow the Sirius sidereal calendar, which is 3 10-day weeks in a month, and then so there's 12 of those, and there's 1 week that's only 7 days long. And so there's certain days throughout the week that you do ancestor work. And so I didn't share that practice with you in this webinar, but I will post it in the group page. So when it's time for me to do my work, I do this libation. Where is my here it is. I give thanks, honor, and praises to you, Netars, or the name that you call the Most High, Nebuchadnezzar, Great Spirit, the one who thinks the breath, Creator of all, Great Spirit, known by many names. I salute you this day. I salute the elements of air, fire, water, earth, and sound. I add sound. I thank you, benevolent ancestors, those in my lineage who lived in a righteous way. I offer this water as a token of my love and blessing. And at this point, while you're pouring the water, you chant out some of the names of your ancestors or the great beings that walk the earth. So I'm switch to the camera so you can see me pouring the water. Jane, Amber, Edward, Chambers, Terry, Bernard, Ruth, Annabelle, and then I name out some of the nations. I'm running out of water. Chalagi, Saponi, Olmec, Toltec, Kemet, Nubia, Kish. Okay. And if you have any ancestors you want to call out, I'll pour some more water. All those that I didn't name. All those that are being slaughtered at this very moment. I thank you for your guidance and protection. I thank you, Great Spirit guides, the Orisha, the Netaru, the Abosun, African deities who walk with me. White Buffalo Calf Woman, Star Woman, Oya, Oshun, Yemaya, Kuan Yin, Nut, Aset, all those who walk with me. I thank you for your presence in my life. I thank you for your many blessings and strength. I give thanks for my divine spirit and for those I am connected to. I pray for my protection at all times and all places. I pray for blessings and protection for my family. I pray for blessings for my community, for my nation. I pray for blessings for this world and that Ma'at will be restored to the earth once again. I salute the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms, and for all things great and small I give thanks. Ashe, Amen, Ra, Ma'at. Attack. So when you pour the water, you can either pour it in a glass like I did, or onto the ground, or onto a plant. It's very powerful. And once again, this is taken from the Rasegi Kemetic Reiki Level 1 Handbook. This practice was founded by my sister, what's her full name? Reiki Kajara Niyaya Nebetet. Dua Kajara Niyaya. Okay, and then on certain days, I like to recite this oath to the ancestors, and I will also post this document with the video, and I'm going to recite it now. There's a really good video. What time is it? But I'm just going to recite it, and you can watch the video later. Oath to the ancestors. O ancestors, blacker than 1,000 midnights, African ancestors, it is to you that we, your children, give respect and honor. O ancestors, we call upon you and welcome you in this place. African ancestors, let your presence fill this space. O ancestors who have been purposely excluded from the history books so that the world would not know of your greatness. O African ancestors who gave civilization to the world, our African ancestors who gave the art to the world, our African ancestors who gave music to the world, our African ancestors who gave the sciences to the world, our African ancestors who gave mathematics to the world, our African ancestors who gave medicine to the world, our African ancestors who gave literature to the world, our African ancestors who gave philosophy to the world, our African ancestors who gave God consciousness to the world. Oh, ancestors, we thank you for devoting your life to make a bright future for us, your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Now stand with us, strengthen us, guide us, teach us, and protect us from the snare of our enemies. Rise up, O African ancestors, and let our enemies be scattered, and give us the wisdom and the boldness to deal with our oppressors and those who would hinder the liberation and empowerment of our people. Rise up, O African ancestors, and live in us. We will not fail to honor you. We will not fail to respect you. We will not fail to hear you. And we will not betray you, Ashe. And so here's the link to the video, and I'll post that later. All right, another healing technique for dealing with ancestors and self-care and ancestral work is Ho'oponopono. And we've gone over this before. I'll just give another brief example here. I was thinking earlier today, you know, what would I like to do for Ho'oponopono work with my ancestors? And last time, I think it was on October 12th or sometime around there, and I did one with Christopher Columbus. So at this moment, I would like to connect with one of my ancestors that I don't usually choose to connect with. I know his name. I don't know what he looked like. His name was HENRI JEAN BAPPTSDTISTE, and he was a slave owner in New Orleans. And he raped one of my ancestors. I don't know her name, but I know the name of their child, who was well, my grandfather was Bernard Henry Johnson, but his father's name was Andre Henry Johnson or something like that. I can't remember his full name. But anyway, I'm going to do a Ho'oponopono with my ancestor, HENRI JEAN BAPPTSDTISTE in New Orleans. And I got some sage going here. And the thing about Ho'oponopono is I've talked about it before, and it's not about like letting the person off the hook or condoning them, but it's about releasing the energy that's trapped inside of you so that you can move it on and transform it and transcend it. So so it's not about me saying, you know, okay, HENRI, you're pretty cool. You raped my great-great-great-grandmother. You know, let's be friends. No, it's not about that. It's just about moving that energy out of my womb and, you know, sending it back to where it came from. So with Ho'oponopono, there are these 4 questions, and you do one round is you know, going through these questions or these statements with the other person, and the second round is you envision them saying these things to you. So I'm going to start with myself, with my, my great-great-grandfather, HENRI JEAN BAPPTSDTISTE, who was a slave owner in New Orleans. Well, HENRI JEAN BAPPTSDTISTE, I'm sorry that I have not gotten to the point where I can fully embrace our relationship. I'm sorry that I don't know what you look like, you know, but I'm working on it. Please forgive me for saying things like pardon my French when I'm going to say a curse word. Please forgive me for not feeling sorry for what happened in France recently, because I know you're from France. This one's hard. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for placing such tremendous adversity in my bloodline. We are still struggling to overcome, but we're making great progress. And even though, you know, you've caused a lot of pain from my family and so many Africans and Native Americans in the New Orleans district, you're still a human being, you still have a soul, and I have to say that I love you as a human being. Ashe. So now I will turn it around and I will be in the receiving position and I will be channeling or whatever my great-great-grandfather has to say to me. Well, Tachia, you know, I'm really sorry that my actions have caused so much pain and confusion and chaos for you and, you know, your lineage. At the time, I really, you know, I was so ignorant of the divine, I never really thought about it. So I hope, you know, I hope you can accept my apology. Please forgive me for forcing my way on your great-great-great-grandmother. I don't even remember her name, you know, but please forgive me for leaving that energy in your bloodline and in your womb. Thank you, Tachia, for taking the time to do this energy work and healing because, you know, you're not only helping your African and your Native American ancestors, you're actually helping your European ancestors come to their senses and, you know, now we're able to change our karma. So we thank you for doing this healing work. And even though, you know, it's hard to believe, it's hard for you to imagine, now that I'm in the other realm, I have great love and respect and admiration for the work that you're doing, and I want you to know that we love you very much, and we're here supporting you in your work to bring consciousness to the planet, raise the vibration, and end ignorance and slavery. So we just want you to know that. So, Ashe. So whenever I do this type of work, it always makes my my womb area or my stomach, my digestion or my guts, it always feels kind of queasy, you know, like when you're on a roller coaster or you're on a plane or something and you're going up and down. So I just want to tell you that right now I just feel kind of weird. That's the first time I've done Ho'oponopono with my great-great-grandfather, HENRI JEAN BAPPTSDTISTE. So that's a technique that we can do for our self-care, you know, moving the energy in our ancestral lineage, especially during this week, like I talked about all the celestial alignments that are going on. So I hope this is something that you all might try in the future. Yeah. And once again, like I mentioned, when we open up this energy flow and this healing energy, we also open up our money flow because that's stored in our root chakra. So when we have blocks in this flow of energy between ourselves and our ancestors or anything, then it's a block in our money flow. You know, maybe if we did enough work, we could tap into the wealth that our European ancestors stole from our African ancestors. I mean, there's no telling what we can accomplish if we're all doing this type of work together. I know. Right. So now we're going to get to the KemeTones work we can do. These are some protocols that I found on a website by a woman who was an acupuncturist, and she was hired by the Army to come up with healing protocols to use on their soldiers that had come back from fighting in a war, and they had, post-traumatic stress syndrome from being in a war. So I'm like, wow, we can use these same protocols with the tuning forks, and we can apply it to post-traumatic slave syndrome or post-slavery stress disorder and healing from the Trail of Tears. So, once you become certified, of course, you can do these treatments on your clients. But in the meantime, you can work on your own meridians. So these are the flow of the energy through the body, and the flow of the water through our bodies in our bloodstream. And when we're experiencing these symptoms from the stress syndrome, we can relieve it by using the tuning forks. And when we're working on ourselves, we can channel the energy of our ancestors. We can channel the energy of our black nation, of the individuals that lost their lives through police brutality and oppression. Because when we do the KemeTones, acutonics work, it can heal intergenerational, it can heal ancestral, and it can make a better way for the future generations. So when we're dealing with safety issues, feeling unsafe, or feeling like we have to fight back, or feeling stuck, like we're slaves, or we've still got shackles, then that means that there's a block in the flow of the liver and gallbladder meridians. So we can use the tuning forks along these meridians. We could use acupressure. We can chant. We can use the crystal wand that I shared with y'all last time. We can just visualize. We can do liver and gallbladder flushes. There's a lot of things we can do to support releasing this stuck energy in our liver and gallbladder meridians and apply it to healing the journey that our ancestors took, that we're still on. We're still on this journey because we're still enslaved. We're still on the Trail of Tears. We're still on the reservation. We're still on the boat that took people across the Atlantic, the passage over here. We're still at war. We're still being sold. All those things are still going on. They just look different. All right, and then here, the rage and the terror are always present. It's like it's yesterday. When I first started dealing from the rape that I experienced 30 years ago, it was locked in my system for 30 years. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even acknowledge it as rape. And as soon as I put the pieces together, then I started experiencing all of these symptoms consciously. Before it was unconscious. But once I became conscious of the symptoms, then I was able to heal. So all of us are walking around trying to figure out why our economic system is messed up, why our education is messed up, why our health is messed up, why our relations are messed up, why black and men and women aren't getting along, why our families are split up, all these things, why we have diabetes, why we have cancer, why we have, heart attacks and depression, all these things. It's not just any one situation. It's the whole picture. It's the big picture. So we can deal with the big picture. It's the trauma from being enslaved. It's the trauma from our forced relocation. So here we have the freeze response, or the rage and the terror that are always present. So we can, again, do acutonics with KemeTones. We can do the chanting. We can do the singing, the prayers, the meditation, the acupressure. We can do kidney and gallbladder flushes on the meridians. And this will help with our freeze response and our sense of safety. Because like with me, when I'm traumatized, I freeze. Like last summer, 2014, when I was molested at REKH on the River at my KemeTones sound healing booth by some guy from Ghana, I froze. I literally froze. I couldn't move. I couldn't say anything. I just froze while the guy just walked out. And then 3 days later, I went to the cops. So that's kind of how we are. You know, we've been dealing with this for 500 years. Now our children are being killed every day. And we're still frozen. All we can do is post or sign petitions or Million Man March, you know. But in a few days, everyone's, hopefully not, but people are going to be going out to spend money on the holidays. Just keep doing the same old things because we're stuck. We're frozen. We're still in the trauma. So these are ways that we can, like I said, heal ourselves, heal our families, heal our nations, heal our, heal the planet. So these are the kidney and gallbladder meridians. I mean, bladder meridians, not gallbladder, just bladder. And then the third section of points would have to do with the flow of the chi energy and through the governing vessel, the governor vessel, and the heart meridian. So the gift of dissociation, that would mean like when we see pictures of people's backs after being lashed, or we, hear stories of what's going on with refugees today and people in Palestine, it might trigger us. For a long time when I would see the picture of my rapist, who's a famous celebrity right now, it would trigger me, and I would go into freeze, flight, or fight. And so now I've gotten to the point where, I can see it, but I'm not associated with it. I've detached myself. I've done so much healing and clearing that instead of freezing, I take action. Instead of running, I stand in my truth. Instead of, fighting against a huge corporation, I organize and get together with other people and move forward. So, we can use KemeTones to release these energy blocks and shift the imprint on our water molecules and the DNA structure in our bodies and our genetic code. We can turn on dormant DNA. We can repattern, reformat our thinking. We can change our thoughts. So these are all some tools that we can use to deal with some of the things that have happened to our ancestors. So let's see, what time is it? Okay. Yeah, and so healing is built on education and hope. Post-traumatic slave syndrome or slave stress disorder creates massive disorganization in a person. It's created massive disorganization in our entire nation, in the diaspora, in Africa, all in North, Central, and South America, Australia. Everywhere you have had indigenous people and this has happened to us, it's created massive disorganization in every area of our lives. And so sound healing with KemeTones can help bring order and structure into our lives. Tuning into the vibration of Ma'at, who is the goddess of balance, truth, order, reciprocity, harmony, righteousness, can bring order back into our lives. And as it says here, naming people's symptoms as disorganization and affirming their body's capacity to restore order creates a foundation they can build healing on. The increased order, balance, and coherency that acupuncture or acutonics or KemeTones or acupressure or anything, Reiki, anything that can remove blocks in our energy flow brings transformation, brings and transforms our trauma symptoms. So by sharing teachings and techniques that work for us, sharing them with others, taking classes, getting certified in alternative healing techniques that are specifically suited for melanated African indigenous peoples. We need more Reiki practitioners. We need more Kemetic yoga teachers and instructors. We need more KemeTones practitioners. We need more followers of Dr. Sabi and Queen Afua and Dr. Africa to go out and educate people who you know, don't have access to the information. Or as the Hopi say, the time for waking up the people is over. Now all we can do is comfort the people who are already awake. So maybe we can't save the people in our family. You know, they're still going to be getting together for Thanksgiving this week. But we can reach out to the people that are on the same wavelength and the same page as us, and you know, help bring about order and organization. So at this time, I would like to offer a song to the goddess Ma'at, because even though we've just recently moved from her period, we're still feeling Ma'at. So this is a song for Ma'at to bring about order and balance. Ma'at Kuma, Ma'at Nebuten, Ahima, Asinama, Asinama, Duamat Nebuten, Ma'at Kuma, Ma'at Nebuten, Kahinama, Kinama, Asinama, Duamat Nebuten, Duamat Nebuten, Duamat Nebuten, Duamat Nebuten. Ma'at is the source of life. Rise in the morning with Ma'at, live with Ma'at, join with Ma'at, let her guide your actions. Dua Ma'at Nebuten, who is in everywhere you are. I think I got some of the translations mixed up, but that is generally the chant for Ma'at, praying for balance and order and truth in our lives and the lives of our nation, our ancestors who might still be going through some challenges. Right? And then here are some points that you can use on your ear for balancing the autonomic nervous system. The Shen Men for settling and bringing comfort to the heart and the mind. The kidney point to warm the freeze response and help people find a sense of safety in themselves. The liver point to soften anger, to help the eyes see new possibilities, to unwind the fight response. And the hippocampus to ease the mind's grip on traumatic memories, to bring relief to overcharged sensations and memories that manifest as nightmares, flashbacks, complete with colors and images. Odors and images. So as you can see, if we can apply the KemeTones treatments to our experiences from post-traumatic slave syndrome, we can really bring about some changes and shifts. And I honestly feel that the reason that I'm not having such a difficult time this week is because I have been doing this energy work for a few years on myself, and I feel, a lot stronger and a lot better. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens this Friday if people participate in Black Friday. And yeah, that's probably one of my intentions for the week, that we're actually able to do something with that energy. Okay, so I'm going to check in and see if there's any questions. I see there's still someone on the line. I think some people got called away. Sometimes people get kicked off of this conference call. So that's why I'm so grateful I'm able to post the replay. So if you had any questions, please ask me now. Or you could post them in the study group. For those of you that will be joining us in January, we're going to have a special section on these meridians, these post-traumatic slave syndrome sound healing protocol. I'm very excited to be developing. I'm basing a lot of the work on the work by Dr. Joy Gruey, her work on post-traumatic slave syndrome. So we're going to be doing some of these this is the workbook. We're going to be doing some of these exercises in the book here and learning how to share them with our clients and our families, and just seeing what we can do with the sounds and the chants. Yeah, so I didn't sing the goddess chant. We've got a minute. I'll just sing it one more time. In honor of the goddesses, by chanting the names of the ancestors, you invoke their spirits, their energy, their cosmic forces, you know, their powers, their abilities. That's why when we pour the libation, we call out our ancestors' names as well, to awaken their energies up within us. But I'm going to close out this session with the chants of the goddesses. After Blut Mehut, after Hetaru, Mad Rinenet Meshkenet, Seket Abu, Nebet Hetamit, Nekabet Mu, REKH, Sekamet, Aret Basra, Sekamet Basra, Sekamet Basra, Sekamet Basra, Sekamet Basra. Yes, I'm grateful to the ancestors for leaving all this wisdom and teachings for us to help us get through these times, and that we're able to pass it on to the future generations so that they're going to be able to get through even more challenging and difficult times that lay ahead as we go through this awakening, enlightening, and purification. So, I hope that this session has been of some benefit to you, and that you're able to do some of this work in the week ahead. And if you have any experiences or comments or quotes or suggestions to share, please go to the study group and post them there, or just send me an email. I'm on Facebook. And I'm going to be doing some of that work. I mentioned you earlier with the Earth Center. I feel like that's going to help me really ground in this ancestral energy and continue to move forward. Lots of doors have been opening up for me the past few days, lots of shifts and challenges and adversities as well, but I'm grateful for the adversities. And with that, I'm just going to say, Om Hotep, 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 Hotep. Peace, 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 peace. I hope to see you next week on December 7th. Well, not next week, in 2 weeks on December 7th. Hotep.